Hey guys, it's Tim, and DC definitely brought a lot to the table at this year's San Diego Comic-Con. Probably the biggest surprise for me was that they actually had a Justice League trailer ready to go when I really just thought they were going to do the group image and maybe a sizzle reel, but we actually got a full trailer this time, so let's not waste any more time and start to break it down. So the trailer starts off in what appears to be a small port village with Bruce talking about someone who's been helping out the village, bringing fish to them during the winter, and coming in on the king's tide, which was yesterday, so he expects him to be there. This is where we get our first look at Momoa on screen without being underwater, and you can see he's wearing a coat, so he seems to be trying to sort of disguise himself amongst the people. He probably doesn't want a lot of attention right now, and this will be backed up by stuff later. But he has very, very bright blue eyes, and he's definitely a very gruff kind of personality. Also, I didn't mention it, but Bruce also has a beard in this scene, which is the only scene in the trailer that we see him having one. Aquaman tells Bruce to talk, and he starts talking about that he believes an enemy is coming, and we get some scenes of a casket being buried by what appear to be Vikings in the past. So, we're definitely going to get some flashback scenes to the enemy being sealed away before the events of the film, and this shows that whoever the enemy of the film is, they've been plaguing the Earth for quite a while now. So next up we get a shot of Diana as Wonder Woman, which is then followed up by two different scenes, or maybe it's the same scene, just one takes place later than the other, of Aquaman downing a full bottle of alcohol and then about to slam it into the ground, and then a really cool looking scene of him being hit by a wave, crashed right into him. And that's probably my favorite single shot in the trailer. Just looks really cool, looks practical, so looking forward to seeing that in the context of that. We then briefly see a chain being cut, which I think is safe to assume is the chain holding the casket that we saw from before, holding in whatever inside of it. So it's not clear right now if this is done unintentionally, just for like maybe someone's trying to research this and they're trying to just look into it. Or maybe there'll be a secondary villain faction who's actively trying to unleash whatever this is that was sealed in the casket. We then get a brief shot of a non-suited Barry, but probably more interesting is that we have a shot of non-cyborg Victor walking, so there'll likely be either scenes in this movie that take place before BVS or some flashback scenes from Cyborg's perspective since we saw him become Cyborg in BVS. We then briefly go back to the scene of Bruce talking to Aquaman in the village, and him saying that it's important that he finds the person who's been coming on the King's Tide and helping out the people, so likely this leads into my idea that Aquaman's trying to stay under the radar. From here we get to see a pretty good shot of Barry's apartment or base of operation, whatever this place is, just some place that is owned by Barry at the moment. Or at least he works out of here. And the place seems fairly cobbled together, so likely, like the comics, he's very, very brilliant, but in this situation he doesn't have the best finances. Based on what I saw in there, he has a very dangerous looking power source that sparks up when he turns it on. He has several monitors in it. There are about 16 in the shot from what I can count. Very low lighting and a bunch of different types of lamps in there. He has a bicycle, two bookshelves with a lot more books that can fit on either of them, and then he has his Flash costume on a mannequin off to the side, so he already has that by the time that Bruce approaches him. At least a version of it anyway. Also, one of the screens has a neon cyan skull with pink and white behind it for some reason. And when we see a shot of Barry later, you see a lot of graffiti on the walls, so I think that the place that Flash is set up might be something like an abandoned subway tunnel. So in the scene, Bruce was sitting in the dark waiting for Barry to come back so that he can recruit him, and we get our first comedic bit of the trailer, where he introduces himself as Bruce Wayne, and Barry says, "That doesn't explain why there's a stranger sitting in my apartment in the dark in my second favorite chair." And this is where the tone shift of the trailer happens from being more serious at the beginning and then it'll go back to that later to being more comedic for a bit. Because after a brief shot of the Aquaman scene from before, we cut to Bruce and Diana in what appears to be the Batcave, and they're talking about Bruce's run-in with Aquaman there. Diana asks if he'll fight with us. Bruce says more or less. Diana turns to him, says more or less. We then cut back to the Aquaman scene, where he picks up Bruce and slams him into the wall and holds him there. Where Bruce says, probably more or less. Diana says he said no. Bruce says he said no. Just a cute little quick scene, some good banter between the two of them. It shows that they are equal partners in starting up the whole Justice League thing. Though we never see Diana in the trailer recruiting anyone, so since we never see Cyborg get recruited, she might have recruited him, or maybe she's off doing something else, dealing with the threat while Bruce is recruiting people. So we don't really know what Diana's role in forming the team is, but she is equal to Bruce in whatever it is she's doing. This also lets us know that Aquaman's not going to join up with the team right away. He'll probably be the second to last person to join in this movie before Superman, since we did see him in the picture when they were on stage and Henry Cavill did come out. And it seems that Aquaman's role on the team is going to be the loner, badass, sort of Wolverine kind of role on it. We then go back to the scene of Bruce recruiting Barry. Bruce starts looking at the Flash costume, and Barry is denying who he is, but Bruce cuts him off by throwing a batarang at him. And we get to see what Barry's powers look like from his perspective. When he activates them, there's a slight zooming sound as he does it, to let you know that it's activated. Everything is slow around him, and his lightning is actually a sort of bluish-white color, which is interesting and honestly more so the color of real lightning, but he still has the yellow lightning bolt on his costume, so it seems weird that they went the white route with the lightning. So Barry looks at the batarang going slowly past him. He looks at that, he looks back at Bruce, and then after the batarang's gone past him, he catches it out of the air. We then get an interaction between Barry and Bruce, and we get to see the kind of personality that Barry will have in the movie. It's gonna be sort of nerdy, sort of geeky like that. He actually seems kind of similar to Peter Parker to me in his mannerisms and also how his stuff is all cobbled together. Like the genius with little funds. So when Bruce starts to explain the situation to him, Barry cuts him off and then just immediately accepts joining the team, saying that he needs friends, which Bruce agrees with, which is played comedically, but it could also sort of mean that Barry, once he got his powers, felt that he needed to distance himself from other people, and he sees this as a chance to meet up with other people who are like him, so I'm interested to see where that goes. And this is where we get the tone shift back to serious, where we get shots of everyone doing their thing in their costumes. Batman flips into his shot, we see Wonder Woman doing the wristband shockwave thing again, and we see Barry in his suit for the first time, using his powers from someone else's perspective, and the lightning is still white when he's using his costume. We then get our first shot of Cyborg in the trailer, and it looks alright. You can definitely see the CG on it, but you can tell that they sort of put this trailer together for Comic-Con, so they'll likely polish that out later on. So the other interesting thing here, outside of seeing Flash in costume for the first time and seeing Cyborg for the first time, is that Aquaman's shot comes from a different point in the movie. He's standing shirtless in the snow, which is both a different location than everyone else's, and during the day when everyone else's takes place at night. And then later we get a shot of the group from behind, and there's only 4 of them. So this does seem to confirm that Aquaman won't be with them when they first join together as the League, and he'll join later in the movie. We then see Cyborg talking with Batman, saying that he's heard of him, but he didn't think he was real. Which kind of seems odd to me because it didn't seem like they were playing up the urban legend angle in BVS, since no one was really that surprised by the fact that he existed, and people seem to already know that he existed in Metropolis and Gotham. Maybe it's just a regional thing. So it seems weird that Cyborg didn't think he was real. Maybe I missed something in BVS with it, or maybe they'll explain it more in Justice League. We'll see as time goes on. We then see the Justice League title card, and then we go back to the scene with Aquaman and Bruce immediately after Bruce was up against the wall, saying that he knows his name is Arthur Curry, and he's heard that he can talk to fists, which he does the head tilt to, which isn't really the strongest joke to go out on, but I'm sure a few people got a laugh out of that. But either way, we actually got quite a bit in this trailer. There's definitely the seeds of things to come later in the Justice League, and it was just overall cool to get this trailer in general due to the fact that they only started filming in April. But what do you guys think? Did you guys like the trailer? Were you surprised by it? Do you think I missed anything in the breakdown? Well, let us know in the comments. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't yet. We have a Patreon account you can donate to if you feel so inclined. And until next time, this has been Tim from the Hybrid Network, signing out.